What happens when two of the biggest personalities in music clash on live television over something that was supposed to remain private? The answer will shock you. Before we dive into this explosive confrontation that ended with Meghan Trainor storming, Offset, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you think really triggered this meltdown. The morning began like any other taping of the Kelly Clarkson Show. Meghan Trainor arrived at the studio looking confident, in her signature retro-style outfit and ready to promote her latest album. The production team had briefed both sides about keeping the conversation light and fun while focusing on Meghan's music, her family life, and her upcoming tour dates. Nobody expected how fast things would spiral out of control. Kelly greeted Meghan with her usual warm energy as they settled into the interview setup. "Meghan, it is so great to have you back on the show. You look absolutely gorgeous today." "Thank you, Kelly. I'm excited to be here." "Your show always feels like home," Meghan replied as she adjusted in her chair. The first few minutes went smoothly. They talked about Meghan's new music, her creative process, and her experience as a mother. Kelly asked thoughtful questions, and Meghan seemed happy to share stories about balancing motherhood with her career. "Your fans love your authenticity," Kelly said as she leaned forward slightly. "You have always been real about your struggles with body image and self-acceptance, and that connects with people." "It is important to me." Meghan nodded. "I want young girls to know they do not have to be perfect. We are all human, and we all have insecurities. And that is okay." But then Kelly's tone shifted. Her smile remained bright, yet her eyes carried something sharper. "Speaking of being real and authentic, I have to ask about something that has been circulating in the industry. There are whispers that your recent body positive messaging does not match private conversations you have had about other artists." Meghan's expression changed instantly. Her smile disappeared, replaced with confusion and defensiveness. "I am sorry, what are you referring to exactly?" Kelly kept her friendly tone, but her words grew sharper. "Sources connected to record labels claim you have made harsh comments about other female artists and their appearance choices. These comments seem to contradict your public image of supporting women." The studio audience began to sense the tension building. Meghan straightened in her chair, and her trained composure started to crack Kelly. "I think there has been some serious misunderstanding," Meghan said firmly. "I do not know what sources you are talking about, but I would never tear down other women. That goes against everything." "I believe I understand you might feel that way," Kelly replied, not backing down. "But when multiple people share similar stories, it raises questions about authenticity versus public image. Do you not think your fans deserve to know if there is a gap between your private opinions and your public statements?" Meghan's face flushed with anger and embarrassment. This was no longer the friendly interview she had prepared for. This felt like an ambush. "What exactly are you accusing me of?" Kelly Meghan asked, her voice rising. "Because it sounds like you are calling me fake or hypocritical, based on gossip." The audience went completely silent. They could tell they were witnessing something unprecedented. Kelly, known for her supportive style, was pressing harder than ever. "Before, I am not accusing you of anything." "Meghan, I am asking for clarity." Kelly said, "In this industry, we all know how easily private conversations become public. Surely you can understand why fans would be concerned if your private views do not match your public advocacy. This is unbelievable." Meghan shook her head. "You are basing serious claims about my character on unnamed sources and gossip. That is not journalism. Kelly, that is tabloid nonsense. The Tension filled the studio crew members exchanged nervous glances, unsure whether to cut to commercial or keep rolling. This was no longer a typical celebrity interview. Kelly pressed on, unfazed by Meghan's growing distress. Do you not think transparency is important? Your brand is built on honesty and relatability. If there are inconsistencies between your private and public selves, should that not be addressed? Meghan stood up abruptly, and her chair slid back with the force of her movement. You know what, Kelly? This interview is over. I came here to talk about my music and my message of self-love, not to defend myself against baseless rumors and gossip. Meghan, please sit down. Kelly said, her television smile still fixed in place. I think we are having an important conversation about authenticity in the entertainment industry. Important conversation. Meghan repeated, her voice now full of anger. You ambushed me on live television with unverified claims from anonymous sources. There is nothing important about that. That is cruel. The studio fell into silence as Meghan remained standing with her hands shaking in anger. Kelly, however, seemed determined to push further. Despite her guest's clear distress, Meghan, I understand you are upset, but running away from difficult questions will not make them disappear, Kelly said with a tone that carried condescension. Your fans look up to you and they deserve to know who you really are, behind the cameras. That statement hit Meghan like a blow. Her eyes widened with disbelief. Running away? Are you serious right now? I am not running away from anything. I am refusing to take part in a character attack disguised as an interview. Audience members shifted uncomfortably in their seats, and some pulled out their phones to capture what was clearly becoming a defining moment for both women. In the control room, producers debated cutting to commercial, but the raw drama unfolding was unlike anything daytime television had ever seen. Kelly leaned back in her chair, keeping her composed expression while clearly enjoying the chaos. I think you are being dramatic, Meghan. I am simply doing my job as a host by asking the questions people want answered. Everyone wants answers to what Meghan's voice cracked with emotion. Who is everyone? Kelly, your producers, the tabloids. Or are you just trying to create viral content at my expense? The accusation hung heavy in the air. Kelly's smile faltered for a moment before she regained control. That is a very serious accusation about my intentions. Meghan, I have built my career on being authentic and honest with my guests and my audience. Have you, though? Meghan shot back, her media training gone as raw emotion took over. Because right now it feels like you have built your career on making people trust you, and then using that trust against them when it helps your ratings. The cameras caught every shift in expression as Kelly's polished facade cracked for the first time. She looked genuinely shaken by Meghan's words. I resent that implication. I have always treated my guests with respect and dignity. Respect and dignity. Meghan laughed bitterly. Kelly, you just accused me of being a fake advocate for women based on gossip. If that is your definition of respect, then we have very different values. Kelly now stood up as well, matching Meghan's energy as the confrontation escalated to a level no one in the studio had ever seen. My values include holding public figures accountable for both their public and private actions. If that makes you uncomfortable, maybe you should examine why. The attack was unmistakable, and Meghan's response came swift and furious, accountable for what Kelly. For building a career that encourages young women to love themselves, for speaking openly about my own struggles with body image and mental health, for trying to create positive change in an industry that thrives on tearing. women down. That is exactly my point, Kelly fired back, her voice rising. If you are going to present yourself as a champion of women's empowerment, then your private conversations and actions need to align with that message. Otherwise, it is just marketing. The word marketing hit Meghan like a slap. Her entire body shifted as she absorbed the attack on not only her actions, but her core motivations and integrity. Marketing. Meghan repeated, her voice low and dangerous. You think my advocacy for young girls struggling with self-esteem is marketing. You think sharing my painful experiences with body dysmorphia and anxiety is some business strategy. Kelly realized she had crossed a line, yet instead of retreating, she doubled down, I think, in this industry. The line between authentic advocacy and brand building is often blurred, and when private behavior contradicts public messaging, questions need to be asked. What private behavior? Kelly Meghan demanded, her voice sharp and steady. You keep making vague claims with no examples and no credible sources. You are destroying my reputation on live television based on what exactly? Anonymous whispers and industry gossip. The studio audience was fully captivated as the clash reached its peak. This was not just a celebrity interview gone wrong. This was a lesson in how personal attacks disguised as journalism can destroy a person's career and mental health. In real time, Kelly's response revealed the calculated nature of her approach. The specifics did not matter as much as the pattern they suggested. When sources from different corners of the industry raise the same concerns about an artist's private character versus their public persona, that creates a narrative to exploit. Story worth exploring, Shelley said. A story worth exploring. Meghan repeated, her voice full of disgust. Kelly, you just admitted you do not even have specific allegations. You are building an attack on my character from vague patterns and nameless sources. That is not journalism. That is destruction for entertainment. The clash had reached a boiling point. Both women were now running on raw emotion and adrenaline. Kelly, perhaps realizing her carefully staged ambush was crumbling, tried to seize back. Control, Meghan, I think you are mischaracterizing this moment. She said, I am trying to have an honest conversation about authenticity in celebrity culture. Your defensive reaction is actually proving my point about the gap between image and reality. That psychological tactic was the final straw for Meghan. Her response was swift, sharp, and devastating. No, Kelly, my reaction is proving that I am a human being with feelings who is being attacked on live television by someone I trusted. The real disconnect is not between my image and reality. The real disconnect is between who you pretend to be as a host and who you are as a person. The silence that followed was deafening. Kelly's face shifted through shock anger, and finally a cold calculation as she realized her image was slipping apart in real time. That is a very personal attack. Meghan, Kelly said, her voice now icy. I think your emotions are clouding your judgment about what is happening here. My emotions. Meghan's laugh was sharp and humorless. Kelly, you have spent 15 minutes tearing at my character, my integrity, and my motivations with nothing but gossip. And now you tell me I am too emotional. The audience was transfixed. Many filmed on their phones, knowing they were witnessing a moment that would be discussed for years. Crew members looked frozen, not sure whether to step in or let the fire burn. Kelly's mask slipped further as she spoke, with fury, barely restrained. I am doing my job as a journalist by asking hard questions. If you cannot handle scrutiny, maybe you should not be in the public eye, making grand claims about women's empowerment. Journalist Meghan repeated, her voice rising with force that commanded the room. Kelly, you are a daytime talk show host who built a career on warmth and support. Do not hide behind the word journalist when you are practicing televised bullying for ratings. The accusation hit Kelly at her core. Her entire brand was built on being a supportive and safe interviewer. Being called a bully on her own stage was devastating. "I am not a bully," Kelly said through clenched teeth. "I am holding you accountable for possible hypocrisy in your message. That is what responsible media figures do. Responsible media figures verify their sources before they accuse Meghan Shotback. They provide real examples, not vague insinuations. They create safe spaces for conversation, not hostile interrogations meant to humiliate their guests." The clash had evolved into something bigger than an interview. It was now an outright dismantling of each other's professional integrity and personal character. Kelly, desperate to regain control, struck again. "The fact that you are this defensive about simple questions tells me, and everyone watching, that there is more truth to these whispers than you want to admit," she said with a cruel smile. But the manipulation failed. Meghan's response was calm, direct, and devastating. "No, Kelly. What my reaction tells people is that I came here expecting a real conversation about my music, and instead I walked into an ambush meant to wreck my reputation for entertainment value. And what your behavior tells people is that you are willing to sacrifice another woman's mental health and career for a viral moment." The studio went silent. Meghan's words hung in the air, exposing not only the intent behind Kelly's attack, but the deeper ethical rot of turning trust into a weapon. Kelly's face went pale as the full implications of what had just unfolded hit her. She hadn't just failed to discredit Meghan. She had handed her the moral high ground while dismantling her own reputation in the process. "Meghan, I think you're being unfair to my motivations," Kelly said weakly, her earlier confidence gone. "Unfair?" Meghan shook her head, disbelief etched in her face. "Kelly, you just spent 20 minutes questioning my integrity as an advocate for women, reducing my struggles with body image and mental health to a marketing strategy. And you think I'm being unfair to you?" the audience murmured uneasily, the weight of what they had witnessed settling in. This wasn't just a feud. This was a rupture, an unmasking of how the entertainment industry rewards cruelty disguised as journalism. Meghan calmly gathered her belongings, every movement deliberate, dignified. "I came here to talk about music, self-love, and supporting young women who share my struggles. Instead, I walked into a character assassination built on gossip and anonymous whispers. Please, Meghan." Kelly tried one last time, desperation cracking through her polished tone. "Don't leave. We can work through this misunderstanding." Meghan turned, her voice firm, final. "This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was calculated. And the only reason you want me to stay is because you finally realized how badly it's backfired on you." The cameras didn't miss a beat as Meghan walked toward the exit, her head high despite the storm she had endured. The audience sat frozen, many visibly uncomfortable. She stopped once more, looking directly into the cameras. "For everyone watching, this is why so many artists are afraid to be vulnerable. Because the moment you reveal your truth, someone will weaponize it against you." Kelly sat frozen in her chair as Meghan delivered her final blow. "I hope young women can see the difference between those who lift others up, even when it's hard, and those who tear them down for entertainment." With that, Meghan walked off set, leaving behind a stunned silence, and Kelly alone, staring at the ruins of her carefully constructed image. The cameras rolled on as the realization sank in. Her quest for viral content had instead created a career-ending spectacle, one that would haunt her legacy forever. What do you think truly pushed Kelly to turn a friendly interview into a brutal confrontation? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more shocking celebrity stories that peel back the Hollywood facade.